My name is Hannah Carter. I was 17 when this story started. I lived in a quiet town near Manchester with my mom and younger brother. Our street was filled with old brick houses, narrow roads, and small shops that closed early. Life there was simple. People didn't move away often. We all went to the same school, knew the same people, and followed the same routine. I never expected anything to change, but that winter, everything started to feel different. I had 3 best friends. We were always together. Their names were Grace, Ruby, and Molly. We called ourselves the 4 Leaves. We liked the name because it reminded us of 4-leaf clovers, which are rare and lucky. That's how we felt. Lucky to have each other. We met in primary school and stayed close through everything: school trips, birthdays, and breakups. It wasn't perfect, but it felt like nothing could break us. Molly was the boldest. She always spoke her mind and made us laugh, even when things were hard. Grace was calm and kind. She didn't talk a lot, but she listened better than anyone I knew. Ruby was the quiet one. She loved drawing and often had ink on her fingers. And then there was me. I was the serious one. I liked planning things, keeping order, and making sure everyone got home safely. That December was colder than usual. The town looked gray and quiet. Everyone stayed indoors after sunset. Our school was about to close for the winter holidays, and the 4 of us were excited. We had made plans to bake cookies, watch old films, and walk around town with hot chocolate. One Friday evening, we met at Grace's house after school. It was snowing lightly outside, and her living room was warm and cozy. That night we made a promise. We sat close together on the floor with snacks in our hands. Molly said, "Let's make a deal. A real one." We looked at her, confused. "I mean it," she said. "Let's promise to stay close forever. No matter what. Even when we grow up or move away." We laughed a little, but we all agreed. We each said it out loud. "We promise." It felt silly at the time, but I think we all needed it. Something to hold on to. The next week, everything changed. Molly came to school late on Monday. Her face looked pale, and her eyes were red. We found her during lunch. She told us the news. Her family was moving to Bristol. Her dad had found a better job there. They would leave in 2 weeks. She hadn't told us earlier because she hoped it wouldn't happen. But now it was real. She was going. None of us knew what to say. Ruby started crying quietly. Grace stared at the floor. I felt cold all over. It didn't seem fair. We had just promised to stay together. Now one of us was leaving. We spent the next days trying to make the most of our time. We met every afternoon, even if it was just for a few minutes. We walked through the cold streets, talking about memories from primary school and laughing about old jokes. But under the laughter, we all felt sad. The time was slipping away too fast. One night, Molly brought an idea. "Let's each write something about our friendship," she said. "Something short. Then we'll hide the notes in our favorite places around town. I didn't understand at first. "Why hide them?" I asked. "So we can find them again," she said. "Maybe one day we'll need a reminder." We liked the idea. It felt special, like our own small secret. So we each wrote a short message, just a few lines. I put mine under the big oak tree behind our school. It was the place we first met. Ruby walked up the hill where we used to watch the stars. She hid her note under a flat rock. Grace chose the small lake behind her house. She placed her note inside a glass jar and buried it near a tree. Molly didn't tell us her hiding place. She smiled and said, "You'll find it when you need it." 2 weeks passed faster than I expected. On the morning of Molly's move, we all went to the train station. It was early, and the sky was still dark. Molly hugged us one by one. When she hugged me, she whispered, "Don't forget the promise." I nodded, but my throat felt tight. I didn't trust myself to speak. After she left, everything felt different. The group didn't feel whole anymore. Friday afternoons were quiet. We still met sometimes, but it wasn't the same. Grace spent more time at home. Ruby kept to herself and drew more than ever. I focused on school and tried to ignore the growing space between us. One cold afternoon in January, I saw Grace near the lake. She looked upset, so I followed her at a distance. She knelt beside the tree and pulled out her glass jar. Her hands were shaking. I walked closer and sat down beside her. She didn't speak for a few minutes. Then she said, "I miss us. It's not just Molly. It's everything." I nodded. "I miss it too." She looked at the note in her hands. "Do you think we can go back to how we were?" "I don't know," I said. "But maybe we don't have to. Maybe we just need to hold on to what we can." That evening, I went to check my own note. It was still there, dry and safe in a small plastic bag. My words were simple. We are stronger than time. We will always find our way back. Later that week, we called Molly. It had been over a month since we heard her voice. She sounded surprised and happy. "I thought you forgot me," she said. "We never could," Ruby told her. We talked for over an hour. We laughed and cried and made a plan to visit her during spring break. That phone call brought something back. A little bit of hope. A little bit of the old feeling. In March, Grace, Ruby, and I took a train to Bristol. It was a long journey, but the time passed quickly because we were excited. Molly was waiting at the station when we arrived. She looked different. Older, maybe, but her smile was the same. We ran to her, and for a moment everything felt right again. We spent 3 days in her new town. We went to the park, made dinner together, and stayed up late talking. It wasn't exactly like before, but it was enough. On our last night, Molly showed us where she hid her note. It was behind a loose brick in the wall of her new garden. Her note said, "If we let time break us, then the promise meant nothing." But I believe it did. We stood there quietly. No one needed to say anything. We just smiled. The next day, we went home, but something inside us had changed. The promise was still alive, and that's when everything else began. Before I share the rest of my story, could you please tell me where you're from? It gives me strength to know there's someone out there who listens to me, who understands me. It means a lot to me. After the visit to Bristol, something changed between us. The trip reminded us of how strong our friendship used to be. It wasn't perfect, but it felt real again. We kept in touch more often. We didn't talk every day, but we sent voice messages, shared photos, and made small plans for summer. Life felt lighter. Back in Manchester, school became busier. Final exams were coming, and we all had to study more. Grace and I met twice a week to revise together. Ruby stopped joining us. She said she preferred studying alone. At first we believed her, but I could tell something was off. One evening in April, I went to her house. Her mom let me in, and I went up to her room. Ruby was sitting on the floor, surrounded by drawings. The room was a mess. I sat beside her and asked, "Are you okay?" She nodded, but her face said otherwise. Her eyes were tired, and her hands were shaking slightly. "I can't focus anymore," she said softly. "Every time I try to study, my mind goes somewhere else." "Where does it go?" I asked. She took a moment before answering. "I feel like I'm falling behind. Everyone's doing better than me. I'm scared." I put my hand on hers. "We're all scared, but you're not behind. You just need help." That night, we made a new plan. I would study with her once a week, and Grace would help with art projects when she had time. Ruby seemed calmer after that. She even smiled a little when I left. In May, the stress of exams grew heavier. I stopped seeing Grace as often because we had different schedules. Molly called less, too. Her new school had started giving her more homework. We all felt the pressure. Still, we tried. Even when we were tired, we sent short messages. Sometimes it was just an emoji or a single word, but we knew what it meant. We were still holding on. Then something unexpected happened. Grace's father got a job offer in London. It was a good opportunity, and her parents decided to move during the summer. Grace didn't tell us right away. I found out by accident when I saw her talking to a teacher about school transfers. When I asked her, she looked embarrassed. "I didn't want to tell you until it was final," she said. "I didn't want to ruin things again." I was quiet for a moment. Then I said, "You should have told us. We promised to be honest, remember?" She looked down. "I know. I'm sorry." We told Ruby and Molly later that week. Molly sounded disappointed but not surprised. Ruby didn't say much. Her face was hard to read. I felt the same kind of sadness I had felt when Molly left. But this time, it was different. I wasn't just losing another piece of the group. I was starting to wonder if the promise could survive at all. The last day of school arrived quickly. Students were signing shirts, taking selfies, and hugging teachers. Everyone looked happy and free, but I felt a knot in my chest. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was ending. After the final bell, the four of us met outside the school gate. It had been months since we were all together. Molly had come back for the weekend. Ruby was holding her sketchbook. Grace had a small bag with snacks. I brought a speaker and played our favorite song from year 9. We didn't talk about the move or the exams. We just walked to the hill where we used to sit and watch the stars. It was still light out, but the sky was starting to turn orange. We laid a blanket on the grass and sat in a circle. Nobody said anything for a while. We just looked around, enjoying the silence. Then Molly spoke. "I think we should change the promise." "What do you mean?" Ruby asked. "We said we'd stay close forever, but that's hard now." "Maybe we should promise something else. Something possible." Grace nodded. "Like what?" "Let's promise to meet again, no matter where we are or what we're doing. And once a year, we meet. We pick a day. If one of us can't come, the others still meet." I thought about it. It sounded sad at first, but also honest. Life was changing, whether we liked it or not. "Okay," I said. "Let's do it." Ruby looked unsure. "What if someone doesn't want to come anymore?" "Then they don't," Molly said. "But the door is always open." We all agreed. We picked July 12th as our day. It was the date we first met in primary school. It felt right. The next few weeks passed in a blur. Grace packed her things and moved to London. Ruby got into an art course. I took a summer job at a small clothing store. Molly joined a youth program in Bristol. We sent messages, but not as often. Some weeks we talked. Some weeks we didn't. That's how it went. Then July 12th came. I woke up early and made sandwiches. I packed water, a blanket, and a photo of the four of us. I didn't know who would show up, but I went to the hill anyway. To my surprise, they all came. Grace arrived first. Her hair was shorter, and she wore a jacket I hadn't seen before. Ruby came next. She had a new tattoo on her wrist. A small leaf? Molly was last. She brought chocolate and old photos from Bristol. We sat in the same place as before. For hours, we talked, laughed, and caught up. It wasn't exactly like old times, but it was enough. When the sun began to set, we stood up and took a picture together. "I didn't think everyone would come," I said. Molly smiled. "Me neither." Grace looked at me. "But we made a new promise," Ruby added. "And this one feels real." I nodded. I could feel the truth in those words. Before we left, we each took a stone from the hill. A small one, smooth and light. It wasn't fancy, but it meant something. A quiet reminder of our day. We didn't know what the next year would bring, but we knew we'd return. Maybe not the same people. Maybe not with the same stories. But we'd return. And for now, that was enough. A year passed faster than we expected. We finished school, started new jobs, and began to grow into different versions of ourselves. I stayed in Manchester and started working part-time at a clothing store. I liked the job because it gave me space to think. Grace began university in London and often sent pictures of her lectures or coffee shops near her flat. Molly got accepted into a youth program abroad and spent most of her time traveling. Ruby joined a local art school. She stayed quiet most of the year, but once in a while, she posted pictures of her paintings online. We weren't as close as before. Some weeks passed with no messages. Sometimes we replied late, but there was no anger, just space. We still remembered our promise. Every July 12th, we would meet again on the hill. As the second year approached, I wasn't sure if they would all come. We had changed. Maybe the promise would feel too far away. But that morning, I packed the same blanket, some snacks, and brought the photo we had taken last year. I reached the hill a little early and sat alone. After 10 minutes, I saw Grace walking up the path. She looked more confident now, and she carried herself with calm energy. She hugged me tightly and said, "I almost didn't come, but I'm glad I did." A few minutes later, Ruby arrived. Her hair was shorter, and she had another tattoo. She sat next to me and smiled without saying anything. Then Molly came running, holding her phone and laughing. "I nearly missed the train," she said. "But I wasn't going to break the promise." We sat in a circle like the year before. It felt easier this time, less pressure. We didn't need to catch up on everything. We just talked about the little things, funny moments, bad dates, music we had discovered. Then Ruby looked down and spoke quietly. "I need to tell you something." We all turned to her. "I'm moving to Glasgow next month. I got a scholarship." We were silent for a moment. Then Grace said, "That's amazing, Ruby." Molly nodded. "I'm proud of you." I smiled. "So this time, it's your turn to leave." Ruby looked nervous. "I wasn't sure if I should come today. I thought maybe it was better to just let go." "Don't say that," I replied. "The promise still stands. No matter where we are." She looked relieved and said, "Thanks. I really needed to hear that." That day was one of the warmest of the summer. We stayed until the sky turned orange and the air felt cooler. We took another photo and compared it to the one from last year. We looked older, but also stronger. We left the hill just before dark. Ruby stayed behind for a few minutes longer. She said she needed to say goodbye in her own way. I watched her from the bottom of the hill, sitting quietly with her hand on the grass. I didn't ask what she was thinking. I just waited. The next year, things were different again. I got promoted at work and started saving money for travel. Grace was in her final year of university. Molly came back to the UK after working abroad for 2 years. Ruby stayed in Glasgow and started selling her art online. When July 12th came, I sent a message in the group chat. "Same place, same time." only 2 replies came back. Grace couldn't make it. She had a summer course and final exams. Ruby was also busy. She had to prepare for her first solo art show. Molly said she would be there. I was disappointed, but I understood. Life had changed. The promise wasn't broken. It just looked different now. That day, only Molly and I sat on the hill. We talked for hours. She told me about the people she met abroad, the jobs she had tried, and the books she read on long bus rides. I told her about my job, about my plans to travel next year, and how I sometimes miss the feeling of being needed by someone. She looked at me and said, "I miss the 4 of us too. But we're doing okay, you know?" I nodded. "Yeah, I think we are." After that, we didn't meet every July 12th. Some years, only one of us made it. Other times, 2. There was even one year when no one could come. But the promise didn't die. It changed. It became a quiet understanding. We were no longer 4 girls sitting on a hill every summer. We were women living different lives. But the hill was still there, waiting for us. 3 years later, something unexpected happened. Ruby called me on a Sunday afternoon. Her voice was shaking. "It's Molly," she said. "She's in the hospital." I felt my stomach drop. "What happened?" "She had a car accident last night. She's okay, but it was serious. She asked for all of us." I called Grace immediately. She had already booked a train. We agreed to meet at the hospital in Bristol. When I arrived, Molly was awake. Her leg was broken, and she had some cuts on her face. But she smiled when she saw us. "I thought I'd never get you all in the same room again," she joked. We stayed with her all day. We told old stories, shared updates, and helped her laugh through the pain. At one point, she looked at us and said, "I thought about the promise last night. I don't know why, but I needed to remember we were still connected." Grace touched her hand gently. "We're always connected, Molly." Later that evening, we sat quietly in the hospital waiting room. Ruby looked at the others and said, "I think we need to do something." "Like what?" I asked. "Next summer, we go back to the hill. All of us. No excuses." Grace nodded. "Agreed." Molly smiled. "Even if I'm in a wheelchair, I'll be there." We all laughed. But deep down, we meant it. The next July, we returned. Molly had recovered well and brought cookies she had made herself. Grace had finished university and was starting a new job in Oxford. Ruby brought a sketch she had drawn of the hill. I brought the old photos and a speaker with our favorite playlist. We sat on the hill as the sun set. This time, it wasn't just about remembering. It was about choosing to return, choosing each other again. We didn't make a new promise. We didn't need one. The first one had already grown with us. It had changed shape, just like we had, but it was still alive. I looked at the others and thought about everything we had survived: school, distance, fear, silence, and even near loss. And still, we were here. That night, I wrote something down in my phone before falling asleep. Some friendships are not about being together all the time. They are about being there when it truly matters, even if everything else changes. I hope you have enjoyed the story. Like and comment if you want to hear more soon.